सवितुर्वरेण्यं भृगो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ओम गुरुदेव भगवान शिव शंकर भोलेनाथ कैलाशपति महाराज की जय। भगवान व्यास जी महाराज की जय। शंकराचार्य भगवान की जय। स्वामी चिन्मयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी दयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी प्रबुद्धानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी शुद्धानंद भगवान की जय। माता पिता की जय। सभी गुरुदेवताओं की जय। सभी गुरुदेवताओं की जय। सभी गुरुदेवताओं की जय। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्रीमद् भगवत गीता chapter 4, and we have completed verse number 10 yesterday. Today we will see verse number 11, which is in whatever way people invokes me, I bless them in the same form. The bhava of your prayer, the bhava in which you invoke Ishvara, in the same form he blesses you. If you invoke him as a Lakshmi, he will bless you as a Lakshmi. If you invoke him as a Shakti, he will bless you with Shakti. If you invoke him as a Gyan, he will bless you with Moksha. So this is what it is about. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tastadeva bhajamyaham mamavatmanuvaratante manushyah partha sarvashah. Ye, those who yatha, in whatever way, mama, me, prapadyante, worship, tatah eva, indeed in the same way, aham, I, tana, them, bhajami, bless, partha, O Arjuna, manushya, people, sarvasha, in all the ways, mama, my, vratam, path, anuvartante, follows. Those who worship me in whatever way, I bless them in same way. Partha, people follow my path in all ways. This is very interesting. See, he blesses all. He doesn't have any disparities. Again, Krishna is talking as Ishvara here. This is an important verse because it answers the question about how the Lord is to be worshipped. With what degree of devotion, with what inner commitment, with what purpose, and in what form are people to worship him? This is what all is required. This all what is to be understood while worshipping God. How one should worship God. What degree of devotion should be there. What inner commitment should be there. And what is the purpose. And what form are people worshipping Him. According to Krishna, it is simple. I bless them in whatever form they invoke me, according to their karma, according to their prayer. For instance, those who want wealth and steal to get it are blessed with prison sentences. It is as simple as that, so do not blame me. If a devotee worship the Lord in form of Krishna, it is in the form in which the devotees will see the Lord. In other words, seeing the Lord as Krishna is purely subjective, when even though this vision is very real to the devotees. Devotees will sometimes say, I saw Krishna yesterday. For a devotee who has been worshipping the Lord in form of Krishna for a long time, it is possible to visualize the Lord in that form. But this kind of a Lord comes and goes, which means that the vision is bound by time. Whereas the person who saw Krishna remains. Does this not mean that the devotee is greater than the Lord who comes and goes? If so, what kind of Lord is this? And what if the Lord appears in some other form? What if He appears in a Western Lord with suits and boots? The devotee will become confused. Thus Krishna says, in whatever form I am worshipped, in that form alone I appear. If you worship Him in the form of suit and boot, He will appear in the form of suit and boot. This statement can apply to the purpose as well as to the form. For whatever purpose I am worshipped, the purpose I serve. If you worship Him to achieve something, He serves you. Depending upon the commitment, depending upon the intensity, and depending upon your own efforts towards that karma also depends. Although this particular verse is with reference to Vedic ritual and prayer, if it can also be considered beyond its religious scope when Krishna says, I am available to you as the various resources in the world, the various laws, powers and possibilities. In whichever form you invoke me, in that form I am going to appear. A person who does weightlifting in gym daily because he or she wants to develop biceps, in invoking the Lord in the form of biceps and will be blessed with biceps. In other words, the Lord will appear in form of biceps alone. And if the person develops only the left arm, the Lord will bulge out only there. This then is the Lord. The Shruti says that in whatever form people invoke, in that form the result will come. If you worship daily in form of studies, studying mathematics, you will become mathematician. If you worship by making delicious delicacies for Him, you will become a cook, a world-renowned cook. If you worship Him in form of doing righteous business with great honesty, you will be blessed with profits, honest profits. Therefore, the The goal, the end is always Bhagavan, the Lord. Even though the person who has no other goal than bicep may not recognize Bhagavan in the form of biceps. Thus you will find that in whatever form you invoke the Lord, in the same form the Lord, the result will come. Simple understanding of what prayer is. Although different religions have their own forms of prayer, no one form is more efficacious than another. Regardless of the language used to invoke Lord, the Lord is invoked. When tribal people perform a rain dance, for instance, the rain comes. Similarly, when person perform a very elaborated, sophisticated Vedic ritual, the rain do come. When these rituals, be the Vedic or tribal, are performed with Shraddha, with faith and sincerity, there will be rain. Without Shraddha, the rain will not come. See, Shraddha is a very important tool for prayer. The mode can be different, but the result, the phala, is the same. Any form of prayer is effectuous as any other prayer. This must be understood well, not as tolerance for or accommodation to form of worship other than one's own, but in terms of simple understanding alone. There is no pagan's prayer, there is only prayer. And prayer is nothing else than Shraddha, the devotion. Devotion is the most important tool. Until and unless the intensity of devotion is there, there will be no phala. When tribal people repeat a prayer in a dialect that does not have a structure, script or grammar, we may not understand it, but Bhagavan understands it. Language is there. The people think they have said something, and they have. Thus there is communication between themselves and the Lord, which all matters. Even in religions where the believers repeat word in language unknown to them, it is understood that the Lord understands the language being used. Nothing more is required. Just as when you send a telegram, the other person should be able to read it, so too, when you talk to the Lord, He should be able to understand you. A prayer is a feeling expressed in a particular form. It can be language, the meaning of which you may not even know, but the feeling, the intention is definitely there, and this is what is conveyed to the Lord in prayer. As for the words of the prayer themselves, the Lord knows all the languages. All you have to do is express what you have to. Don't worry about the language. Worry about the intensity of emotion involved into the prayer. This is not religious accommodation. It is simple understanding of what prayer is, what Ishvara is. No expensiveness of heart is required here, nor do you need to be the great sadhu or saint. Understanding the nature of prayer is not to be confused with how each religion defines God. Please don't, they are two separate things, which is where all kind of problems arise. When it comes to real issue, concepts and so on, there are problems. But these have nothing to do with prayers. The real issue are what is freedom? Why exactly I am praying? Is it for a limited result or for some other reason. If moksha is what I want, then there is something to be understood. That I am the whole is a fact, not a belief, and is entirely different from what is being said by various religions of the world. Because it is a fact, it is to be understood quietly, which has nothing to do with my commitment to religion as such, or to one religion in particular. What Bhagavan says here is not only with reference to prayer, but also applies beyond prayers. That is, even a person who has no connection to religion is blessed. It includes people who claim not to be religious and those who are critical of religion. For some people, religion is nothing more than money and power. For a communist, religion is statism. Whatever is the religion for them, in that form alone they are blessed. Meaning they are not condemned. Prayers are not condemned. Prayers in any form, any language, any religion, prayers are same. You invoke God through prayers. In this verse, Krishna tells Arjuna, all human beings follow me alone. Mama vratama anuvartante manushya partha sarvashah. In other words, whether they know I am the one that is sought after or not, they are on my track alone. At the end of the track, I am always there. They may think a particular destination is their destination, but that is only a lap of their journey. If money or power is their destination, they are still on the road to me, because power and money are also me. Remember, Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, is with me. Power also is with me alone. Shakti is with me alone. There are different types of wealth, Lakshmi. Those who dedicate their entire lives to health, for example, may enjoy Lakshmi in form of health. And those who dedicate their lives to acquiring power may gain the power they seek if everything goes well. If their prayers are appropriate and their previous karma, prarabdha phala, prarabdha karma is totally against it, they will have power. Thus Krishna says, when people ask for small ends or big ends, they are all on my track, whether they know it. Everyone wants to be free from feeling small. In reality, everyone is seeking identity with Paramatma. Whether they know it, they want to be free from being small, which is why they are seekers. Everyone is a seeker of this freedom. Seeking fullness is no different from seeking freedom from being small. They are one and the same. Furthermore, to say you are seeking fullness is not really true, because you do not really know what fullness is. Whereas you definitely know what smallness is. And you want to be free from this smallness. Freedom from being small is what is meant by fullness. Purnatva. Everyone wants to be full, to be happy. Even those who drink, if drinking did not give person some happiness, some sukha, no one would be doing it. No one would do it. No one. If fullness and happiness is the Lord's very nature, He is Purna Swarupa. Purna Swarupa. and Anand Swarupa. Only Ishvara is Ananda Swarupa, Purna Swarupa. Because all people seek this fullness, happiness, they are on the Lord's track alone, although they may not know it. A person who does not know exactly what he or she is seeking keeps on seeking. Thus Krishna might have said, they do not know they are seeking me. It is like wanting to marry someone but marrying his or her little fingernail or piece of hair. What kind of marriage is it? What kind of marriage is it? People do not know they are doing the same thing when they seek power, name and fame, quietude or whatever. They do not know what these ends are nothing more than the nails and hairs of Bhagavan, Krishna, the infinite. Thinking themselves to be separate from him, they seek one aspect alone and include everything else. They seek one aspect alone and excludes everything else. Everything is Bhagavan, and what is excluded by pursuing one aspect alone is also Bhagavan. When you seek power to exclusion of everything else, you are not seeking Bhagavan. Krishna says, they are on my track alone. If you are seeking only happiness in money, you are seeking everything else also simultaneously. You are not understanding that. But they do not seek me because they do not know they are on my track. If they knew, then the small things would not hold them up along the way. The path of self-knowledge is not an arduous one. While traveling in a particular destination, people may enjoy few things along the way, but they do not lose sight of their destination. Self-knowledge need be no different. The beauty of its pursuit is that not only is the ultimate destination beautiful, but the means too is also beautiful. It is like driving through the Rockies or going on a pilgrimage in the Himalayas. There are 4 centers of pilgrimage in Himalayas, namely Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri and Yamunotri. There are where a lot of devotees go, this being one of the things to be done in a Hindu's life. Badrinath is to take but one. Is situated in the valley of great beautiful beauty, and the way to Badrinath is also beautiful. It is often said that the spiritual path is extremely arduous. But if you really understand what spiritual is, you will find there is nothing arduous about it. What is arduous about constantly hearing that you are fullness, Ananda? The spiritual path has also been likened by the razor's edge. Stop not, be very cautious. One strong step and fall is great. The higher you go, the further you fall. If you go to the pinnacle and lose your footing, not even a single bone will remain there to be picked up, it seems. Then how can the last rites be done for you? Such talk is based on assumption that there is something to be achieved. In fact, there is something to be understood. There is nothing to be achieved. Everything is to be understood. If the goal is Ananda, fullness, happiness, how can the way to goal be unpleasant? To the extent that you understand, the way is Ananda. The path is Ananda and both sides are Ananda. There is never a dull moment, just as when you go on pilgrimage or to a mountain, as you proceed along the steep path, every one of their many turn one opens up a new vista, a new valley, a new scene. At one moment, the Ganga will be traveling alongside of you, and at another she will be have left you far behind. Further along, you will again find her right beside you. Sometimes she is down below, sometimes she is playing, sometimes she is roaring. The mountains themselves present new vistas, sometimes barren, sometimes green, sometimes wearing snowy white caps. This is the way. Similarly, the path to self-knowledge is not an arduous one. The path itself is pleasant, and the end is pleasantness itself. Nor, as one often hears, can the path be described as difficult in the beginning and pleasant later on, or pleasant in the beginning and bitter later on. It is often said that the spiritual path is bitter in the beginning and pleasant later on, while the material path is pleasant in the beginning and bitter later on. But is this really the case? Is not the material path always a problem? In the beginning, later, and in between. The material path does enable me to pick up some joys along the way. It is only Bhagavan is everywhere. He is not just in one place. In fact, upon analysis, we find that there is no such thing as material. All matter, all material is nothing but Bhagavan. There is nothing separate from Bhagavan. How then I say this is material and this is Bhagavan? All these divisions are made by our buddhi, which is a dividing buddhi, a dualistic buddhi. Wherever it goes, the buddhi creates division, spiritual and temporal, profound and profane, because it is basically a dualistic buddhi. It continuously attempts to create dualism. In fact, this divisive buddhi is the only very nature of the jiva. Krishna says, whether people know it, whenever they pick up a moment of joy, it is me alone. The only problem is that they rest content scrapping some small joys out of him, when in fact he is the joy that is their very own nature. Not knowing themselves as Ishvara, very calm of joy, they settle for a small crumb, and as somehow escaped from out of themselves. This, Krishna says, is a tragedy. The tragedy is not that Ishvara denies the people anything but because they do not see their identity with him. Still, Krishna says, they are on my track. There is nothing to worry about. They will come to me eventually, because until they become full, they will not stop seeking. No one is going to settle for anything less than fullness. No one is away from me. People do not seek Ishvara because of their fascination with quick result. This is verse number 12 we are going to see. Kangshantaha karmanam siddhi yajanta iha devataha क्षिप्रम ही मनुष्य लोके सिद्धि भर्वती कर्मजा. Karmam, of action, siddhim, the result, kangshatah, desiring, iha, here in this world, devatah, deities, yajante, they worship. He, because manushya loke, in the human world, karmaja, born of action, siddhi, result, kis param, kashi param, very quickly bhavati comes. Desiring the result of action here in this world, they worship different deities. For in the human world, result born of action comes very quickly. This is what we are going to see in verse number 12, which we will do tomorrow. Today we'll give a break here only. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya.